DVFF turns 50. Diablo Valley Fly Fishermen, 350 members strong, one of the largest clubs in the state, meets monthly at Heather Farm in Walnut Creek, California. Presenters from around the country share their fly fishing expertise in our spacious meeting room. Behind the Heather Farm gardens, club members are fortunate to have both ponds and beautiful lawns where they can improve their casting. Club members can also learn other fly fishing skills, such as fly tying, and even rod building. One of our club's founders was Andy Pugh, famous as both a fly tyer and a fly fishing mentor. Back in 1971, Andy opened the fly shop that our club is still closely associated with. Andy's most famous fly was his AP nymph, now popular around the world. Andy taught a week-long fly fishing class in Idaho for over 30 years. Here is Andy holding court with his guides on the banks of his beloved Henry's Fork, where, according to Andy, the fish have PhDs. Andy passed in 2005, and this memorial plaque graces one of his favorite fishing spots on the Henry's Fork. There are many other famous fly fishers in DVFF. One of them is noted author and casting instructor Al Kite. Each year, the club recognizes its own superstars as members of the year. Since the beginning, DVFF has always been a fishing club with its favorite fishing spots, from California to Canada and beyond. Sometimes you have to share the run with members from other clubs, who are usually friendly. Why is it that we fish? Partly because the fish are so beautiful. From the McCloud River browns to the Sierra Lake rainbows, from chunky Trinity steelhead to Delta striped bass. Many people started fly fishing catching the lowly bluegill, and some actually got pretty good at it. Then there are the days when everybody is catching fish but you. In 2017, DVFF decided to celebrate its first 50 years by chatting with some of its longest active members, representatives of its living history. Every club has its favorite places to fish.
I'd say one of my favorite places to fish is, I'll be more specific than that, I'll say it's anywhere in the Sierras. That covers a lot of ground, doesn't it?
One of my favorite places to fish is the South Island in New Zealand. We went halfway around the world to fulfill a dream come true. We fished the Ariti River, and it was fabulous. Everything that people said it was going to be, and even more.
One of my favorite places to fish is a section of the Spring Creek at Bidwell Ranch, where there are very large fish sipping on small bugs. The challenge is to figure out just what they are eating.
And who doesn't enjoy a good fish story?
My first trip to the McCloud, I went out there and started to fish, and Mark Peterson comes along, he was the group leader, and says, "Let me show you how to do this." So he gets down on his knees and makes a cast right where I would have cast, gets a drift right where I would have had a drift, and catches the fish, a good sized fish. I don't think I caught a fish the rest of the day.
One of the most boneheaded things I've ever done was I was in a hurry to get off the stream. I leaned my rod up against my car, jumped in the car and backed up, and the right front tire ran over the rod all the way from the butt to the very tip.
Fishing Hosmer Lake one evening, fishing dry fly, hit the surface, a nighthawk, a bird, picked it up and immediately flew around me 5 times and trussed me up like a frankfurter. A great thing about this club is finding a fishing buddy. My buddy Gary and I have been fishing for a long time. We were fishing for shad on the Sacramento River on my old Boston whaler, 1967. He came back to me from the front of the boat and said, "You'll never guess what happened to me. My foot went through the deck." We looked at it. It was true. We sat there and opened up another beer.
I'll never forget the time Dave and I were going shad fishing. We stopped for gas. We got the tanks out from the council, and the council started to fall apart. Would you believe it? We had to go to a hardware store in Calusa to get hammer and nails to fix it so we could go fishing.
My funniest story is really a situation that occurred in Alaska in a mountain camp. One evening I'm sleeping, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I have to get up and go to the bathroom, answer a call of nature. So I tiptoe outside. All I have is my long johns and shoes. Tiptoe outside, go to the outhouse, open the door, go in, do what I have to do. I go to come out and I can't. I'm locked in. How does that happen? Well, the hook on the door lifted up. I opened, closed the door, it fell in place. I said, how am I going to get out of here? And I remember years ago I got taught how to cast a leader with your hand, like a fly cast. And so I opened the door 1/4 of an inch, and with my other hand, I hand casted that rawhide lace, and it went through. I have one end, the other end's on the outside, took the magazine cover, and with that hand, put it through, grabbed the other end of the lace, got it in both hands, lifted up, and got out. 70 years ago, when we fly fished, it wasn't just about sport, it was about getting out of the house to bring food back to the family. The biggest change in fly fishing equipment in those 70 years was sinking fly lines. You know, we didn't have to use spinning rods in the middle of the day at lakes.
Reflecting on DVFF.
When I was president, we had a very good board of directors, and that made my job much, much, much easier. We've given a lot of money to various and sundry conservation organizations, but the thing I like best, I think is best, is the Trout in the Classroom program that we have run for many, many years.
I've enjoyed contributing to the club for many years. I started the videotaping of speakers. I've been doing the auction for 33 years, and I have been doing speaker acquisitions for a number of years.
What the club has meant to me is I get together with a lot of people who I've become friends with. I get to go on outings with some of these friends, many of them who can fish better than I can, and they help me learn how to fish.
Diablo Valley Club has meant to me people and opportunity. Early on, I helped people with the youth group, novice school, ended up fishing with people. Len Seaman, my good friend, was a classic example of that. I think of conservation and I think of Bill King. The whole continuity of leadership over the years, he headed up conservation. To me, he's the man of the decades, not just the man of the year.
DVFF creates opportunities.
One of the greatest contributions Diablo Valley presents is to bring novice fly fishermen into the sport.
I'm new to the club, and I'm very thankful for the novice program. I've been able to learn how to cast, how to tie different knots, and as well as going out on an outing. And in one of those outings, Alan was showing me how to cast, and I caught my first trout. It was exhilarating.
The club has opened many doors for me, one of them the Northern California Council of Fly Fishing, at which time I was able to originate the Northern California Fly Fishing Hall of Fame as one of our projects.
One of the primary opportunities that I've had is to be selected to the Northern California Fly Fishing Hall of Fame. I was introduced by Andy Pugh, our DVFF member, who was #1. I was #2.
But what does the future hold?
Although I have been fly fishing for over 60 years, there are species that I haven't caught, like smallmouth bass and baby tarpon, that I'm looking forward to chasing in the future.
One of the things I'm really looking forward to is to get better at fishing for big steelhead on the BC rivers.
I want to get my fly fishing simple to sophisticated back in print. I think the modern stuff has been refinements, but that book is still probably the best structured book on fly fishing.
In the future, I'd like to see more women joining the club, and looking forward to having my first all-women's outing.
One of the things I like about this club is it's constantly growing, and of the new people who are coming in, many of them are willing to take on leadership roles.
The future of our sport of fly fishing and the fishery in general is in conservation. Back in the late 70s, the club, through the council, participated in the Little Truckee Restoration Project. Club members went up and did manual labor. We worked with the Bureau of Land Management and made a formerly poor stream into a first-class fishery.
Not many organizations last for 50 years anymore. And for DVFF to last another 50 years, we need to listen to the voices of experience. They have told us the things we have done well and the things we need to keep doing, like introducing novices to the sport, stewarding the environment, providing resources like a fly fishing library and live presentations, fostering the camaraderie around new fishing buddies, and introducing members to new places to fish. Unfortunately, there are few places that fish as well today as they did 50 years ago, or even 20 years ago. We must not take the health of our fisheries for granted. It is strong clubs like the Diablo Valley Fly Fishermen that will make sure that doesn't happen. Here's to another 50 years of fabulous fellowship and fly fishing.